We're counting down. 7. Vanished soft drinks only true Americans remember. From diet colas wiped out overnight by government bans to regionally adored flavors lost in a wave of corporate mergers, these forgotten sodas capture the flavors and the battles of American pop culture. Whether you crave the bite of caffeine-fueled rebellion or cherish the fizz of a classic bottled root beer at the corner store, each entry reveals how nostalgia, regulation, and shifting tastes shaped our shelves and our memories. Which cult favorite tops the list, and what did it mean to the people who loved it? Let's start our countdown with number 7. Number 7. Like was the diet soda that vanished almost overnight. Introduced by Pepsi in 1963, it stood out with pastel labels and a sweet flavor, aimed squarely at suburban women watching their weight. Like's secret was cyclamate, a sugar substitute that gave it a clean taste without calories, a novelty for the time. But on October 18, 1969, the FDA banned cyclamates after health concerns, and Like disappeared from shelves in a matter of weeks. Clearance sales and markdowns followed, with shoppers grabbing cases for pennies. For many, Like was more than just a drink. It was a brief promise of freedom in a pastel can, erased by a single government order. Number 6. Upper 10 stood as the pride of small-town soda fountains across the South and Midwest. Launched in 1933, its emerald green bottles and Art Deco labels promised a crisp lemon-lime bite. Less sweet than Sprite, more refreshing than the big city brands. For decades, it was the only lemon lime on dusty grocery shelves. In rural counties, a familiar fizz at lunch counters and church picnics. But as bottlers merged and national brands tightened their grip, Upper 10 was quietly absorbed into the Dr. Pepper and 7-Up portfolio in the late 1980s. Local bottlers lamented the loss in trade journals, calling it the day Main Street's own flavor vanished. No organized protests, just quiet disappointment as shelf space gave way to 7-Up. For those who grew up with it, Upper 10 was more than a drink. It was a badge of regional identity, a reminder that sometimes the little guy in the green bottle doesn't win. Number 5. Hires Root Beer was once the taste of American summer. Born in 1876 at the Philadelphia Centennial Exposition, it set the standard for root beers with a recipe of sassafras, vanilla, wintergreen, and a dozen more botanicals. For generations, it meant a frosty mug at the corner soda fountain, the deep brown foam promising a sweet herbal bite. Families poured it over vanilla ice cream for root beer floats, and the scent, part spice, part nostalgia, became a fixture at ballparks and cookouts. But as decades passed, the formula changed. Cane sugar gave way to corn syrup, and after the FDA banned saffrole, the original sassafras was replaced by artificial flavors. Acquired by Crush, then Dr. Pepper, Hires was slowly squeezed out of bottling portfolios. By the late 1980s, it was a memory, its place on the shelf lost to corporate streamlining. For many, Hires still conjures the sound of a glass bottle clinking on a marble counter, a taste of authenticity in a world that moved on. Number 4. New Coke was the soft drink that managed to unite a divided country against itself. On April 23, 1985, Coca-Cola unveiled a new formula, the result of a secretive project called Project Kansas, with the goal of beating Pepsi at its own sweeter game. The taste was smoother, more syrupy, and according to focus groups, a technical winner. But the reaction was instant and volcanic. Within days, Coke's Atlanta headquarters was flooded with angry calls and letters, over 400,000 by some counts, while the company's consumer hotline lit up with complaints, peaking at more than 1,500 per day. Grassroots protest groups formed. Hoarding of old bottles became a national pastime, and the company's own executives described each morning as an avalanche of outrage. For 79 days, the backlash dominated headlines and water cooler talk alike. Then, on July 11, 1985, Coca-Cola surrendered. The original formula returned as Coca-Cola Classic, and New Coke faded into trivia. For many, it wasn't just about flavor. It was about memory, tradition, and the right to decide what belongs in the American fridge. Number 3. Crystal Pepsi was the soda that made you look twice before you took a sip. When it hit shelves in 1992, its pitch was simple. All the cola flavor, none of the caramel color. Heavy, clear bottles showed off the transparent liquid inside, and the Super Bowl ad, backed by Van Halen's Right Now, promised a new era of purity and innovation. The taste, though, didn't match the spectacle. Sweet, with a hint of citrus and a herbal finish, it left cola fans divided. Some called it futuristic, others called it flat. Behind the scenes, the marketing push was massive. BBDO's campaign ran everywhere from billboards to late-night TV. But the real twist came from Coca-Cola, which launched Tab Clear as a deliberate decoy, muddying the clear cola waters and dragging both brands down. Within 18 months, Crystal Pepsi was gone, but its brief run became a pop culture touchstone. For a generation, it's the taste of early 90s optimism, a soda that looked like the future, even if it didn't quite taste like it. Number 2. Jolt Cola was the soft drink that wore its defiance right on the can. Launched in 1985 by C.J. Rapp, a sociologist from upstate New York, Jolt didn't just ignore the era's low-calorie trend, it charged at it with a lightning bolt. The promise was simple: all the sugar and twice the caffeine, with a jolt of about 71 milligrams in every 12-ounce can. That was more than double what you'd get from a regular cola, and the label dared you to keep up. Jolt quickly became the badge of honor for college students, programmers, and anyone else burning the midnight oil. Campus computer labs and dorm rooms overflowed with empty black and red cans, fueling all-nighters, hackathons, and last-minute term papers. The taste was unapologetically sweet, almost syrupy, with a buzz that hit you faster than any soda had a right to. It wasn't about subtlety, and it definitely wasn't about health. Jolt cost a little more than your average pop, but for a generation of caffeine chasers, it was worth every cent. As energy drinks stormed the market in the 2000s, Jolt's moment faded. Still, for those who remember the thrill of cracking open a cold can at 2 a.m., nothing else ever felt quite as electric. And finally, in first place, Tab was more than just a soda. It was a lifestyle, a badge of individuality, and for many, a daily ritual. Launched by Coca-Cola in 1963, Tabby arrived in a slim, unmistakable pink can that stood out in any fridge or office break room. The taste was sharp, sweet, and a little metallic, instantly recognizable to anyone who ever cracked one open at a bridge club or tucked a can into a purse for the afternoon. Tabby was never about mass appeal. It was for the devoted, the so-called tabaholics, who built online forums, traded rare cans, and lobbied for its survival long after Diet Coke took over the mainstream. By the 1980s, it had become a fixture on the desks of secretaries, the kitchen counters of dieters, and the tables of suburban card games, a companion for those who wanted something just a little different. But the numbers told a different story. By 2020, Tab made up less than 0.1% of Coca-Cola's US sales, a rounding error in the age of energy drinks and sparkling waters. Then, in the middle of the pandemic, the company made it official. Tab would be discontinued, part of a sweeping rationalization to focus on bigger brands. The news hit hard. Fans launched petitions, flooded social media with memories, and even made headlines in the New York Times and CNN. For many, the loss felt personal. A pink can swept aside by spreadsheets, a community left to reminisce about the days when being a little different was something to celebrate. Tabby's story is a reminder that sometimes the smallest brands leave the biggest mark on our memories. From the sudden regulatory wipeout of Like to Tab's emotional last call in 2020 This list of 7 vanished soft drinks charts the rise and fall of true American originals. Across all entries, one pattern stands out. What disappears isn't just a flavor, but a whole slice of community. Whether it's college all-nighters fueled by Jolt Cola, bridge clubs loyal to Tay-B, or small towns mourning the loss of Upper 10. The most shocking moments, like New Coke's 79-day fiasco and the FDA's overnight cyclamate ban, show how quickly tastes and fortunes can turn. Each brand made the cut because it forged a unique identity, sparked fierce devotion, and then faded due to forces beyond its fans' control. Corporate mergers, health scares, or cultural shifts. Together, these sodas remind us that American soft drinks are more than just refreshment. They're snapshots of changing eras, class, and culture. Their stories fizz with nostalgia, but also reveal how elusive authenticity and local pride can be in a world of constant reinvention.